Howdy folks, I'm Brian and here's some Reddit. Am I a jerk for making a harmless joke during game night? I have a group of friends from college that have been meeting to play D&D every week. Edit on Zoom for F's sake. I thought any idiot could figure that out. Since the pandemic started, since the game was such a big help to all of us this year, we decided to play till midnight on New Year's Eve. We're all guys in our 20s, and our friend M is the only one of us that is married. One thing that has annoyed me since we started is his wife walks in on him a lot. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's bothered by this. Usually she just brings some food or drink or something. But it's like she times it on purpose so he gets distracted and ruins the flow of the game. Anyway, last night she did it again. She brought in food, and M told her thanks for watching the kids so he could play. As a joke, I called him a simp after she walked out. I've made jokes like that before, and it wasn't a problem then, but this time M wouldn't let it go. I told him not to be so sensitive. He then implied I was jealous. I'm definitely not jealous of the obese mom that he married, so I told him I was only joking and tried to get everyone back on track. M quit, and everyone else decided to stop as well. So the whole thing was ruined. Well, now I'm kicked out of the group, and M isn't. I don't think it's fair. I was only joking, and he started the fight. It was a harmless joke. I think he should be mature and apologize since he took things too far. Edit. A lot of y'all are misunderstanding me here. His wife didn't hear me. She was out of the room. And I didn't actually call her an obese single mom, but she's like 280 pounds and had a kid already when they got together. So, am I not allowed to state the facts now? Okay, clearly people can't understand using the word as a joke. Like, obviously he's not simping by thanking his wife. That's the joke. I never said it was a good joke, but it was seriously just a joke. I'm not jealous either, so stop saying I am. I'm living on my own, making double what M does, and I don't have a fat wife and annoying kids to deal with, so what's there to be jealous of? Here's the thing, is that you are being a jerk here. He didn't appreciate it, and you've made jokes like this before, and it sounds like in the past he has kind of moved on and tried to be mature, but you keep making these jokes. He doesn't appreciate them, and I think that you are trying to blame you getting kicked out of the friends group on him. You're the one who said this, and you act like saying this behind her back makes it better. You seem awfully obsessed with talking about how she's fat and how she already had a kid and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? I don't think you're a very good person for making fun of someone. She has a weight problem, and maybe she is trying to work on it. Who knows? Maybe she has a medical issue. There's certainly a number of reasons why someone would have a weight problem. And the fact that you're making fun of her, and you're making fun of him, and you do this regularly enough that he finally snapped on you, kind of shows the gravity of the situation. If the group kicks you out, then there was probably more of this behavior going on. Your friends probably thought you were being obnoxious, and they thought that you were, stepping out of line. I think that you should take this as a sign that you need to do some deep self-reflection and work on yourself. You're the jerk. You should have rolled a wisdom check on that one. You're the jerk. It was a harmless joke. Narrator, it wasn't. You're the jerk. He lives with his wife, and it's pretty normal and actually a sign of a healthy relationship that she brings him snacks while he plays. If you think being kind to each other in a relationship is simping, I hope you learn to correct this before your future relationships. Also, commenting on people's weight is never funny, and calling it a joke is just covering up your nasty behavior. Your friend deserves the apology, not you. Yeah. Also, another thing here is I know he justifies this by saying, oh, she wasn't in the room. But what happens if she was within earshot still and heard it? And I mean, you risk saying these nasty things and being revealed as a nasty person, and then also hurting someone's feelings. So I would really be concerned, she doesn't deserve this kind of abuse from him, and she certainly doesn't deserve him saying these kinds of things. All right. Our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for rejecting my children's birthday gift to me? I have a 27-year-old wife, and I'm a 28-year-old male, and we've been together for 10 years, and we have 4 children. To be 100% honest, I absolutely hate receiving gifts. I like giving them, but I just feel uncomfortable and slightly angry when I receive them. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just have always been this way. For the first few years of this relationship, my wife would insist on getting me gifts for my birthday and doing special stuff like taking me out for dinner. But last year, my wife finally listened to me and did nothing for my birthday. 2 months ago, my father passed away, so that might be why she did something nice for me this year. On the day of my birthday, December 30th, my wife woke me up early and sang happy birthday to me. After that, she gave me breakfast and had our daughter bring in a card that they made for me. I thanked them for their effort but rejected the card. Later that evening, when our children were asleep, my wife berated me for a good 20 minutes, saying that she knew I disliked celebration, so she did something small, and that I broke my daughter's heart by rejecting the gift. I know that's pretty bad for my children to have their father reject their gift, but I think it's good for them to know my values early in life so we won't have issues later on. In addition, it isn't right for my wife to force me into things. Am I the jerk? Edit 3. After having a day to reflect on my actions, I'm starting to see your guys' view, and I admit that I could have handled it better. But I still think it's good for them to know my values early in life so we won't have issues later. Would you rather have me reject this gift now so we won't have problems in the future, or accept it and have my kids think I enjoy something I dislike? So, I'm going to say that you're the jerk here. And I'm also going to say it very gently. I'm a difficult person to buy gifts for. And so I understand where you're coming from here. But the cardinal rule of gift giving is that it's the thought that counts. You may not like a gift, but you should make every effort possible, if it was a well thought out gift, to try to appreciate it. It doesn't matter if you dislike it or not. You know, this was something that was given to you by your child. And it was a card. It's not like she went out and bought you anything. You know, this was a handmade card that just showed you that she was appreciative of you and thinking of you. And I think that is a world apart from buying a gift. And certainly, I can understand your points of view. Like, gift giving sometimes is really excessive. Sometimes it's really hard to justify getting gifts, especially when there are, other things happening in this world. When people ask me what I want them to get me a gift, I usually tell them just to donate something to charity because, I, am too kind of uncomfortable when it comes to getting gifts. So I do understand where you're coming from here. But when someone gives me a gift, I really do appreciate the time, energy, and effort that they put into it because I think it's really important and it shows a lot about a person that they wanted to put the effort into giving you a gift. I think it's important that you do set boundaries. And I'm not saying that your boundaries are invalid and that you don't have the right to set them, because I certainly do. But I think you should reconsider the position of having people do nice things for you. There's all kinds of ways and compromises that you can make here. I do think that you needed to show a little more appreciation and to thank your daughter and say it was really nice of you to give me a card and to show me that you were thinking of me, but you didn't have to do this. I think if you had handled it a little bit differently and handled it in a respectful way that wouldn't have hurt their child's feelings, that you could have instilled that while you don't like to get gifts, you do appreciate that they thought of you. It's healthy to set up boundaries. I think it's healthy to not want gifts here, but I think there's also things that you could have handled this a little bit better and a little bit differently. Dude, you're the jerk. Just fake excitement and then toss it if you don't want it. But I don't even like kids, and I wouldn't have been that much of a jerk about it. Right, what person in their right mind acts this way to a child? If a kid hands you a toy phone and says ring ring, you better answer the phone. All right, Our last letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Trying to Get Out of My Final Due to My Teacher's Scatterbrain? I'm an 18-year-old male, and I just finished my first semester of college. It was a weird semester with the Rona and all, but overall fun, and I just took a bunch of gen eds. For my writing class, my professor was a PhD student, and it was her first time teaching online. I mean, I guess aside from the end of last semester. She was pretty chill, even though she could sometimes take a long time to grade. Towards the end of the semester, she started telling us that in December, she had to take her comps exam. That's what she called them. To be honest, I don't know what they are, but that was her exact wording. So if she didn't answer an email within 24 hours, to email her again or text her via her Google Voice number that she gave to class to poke at her. Sort of annoying because checking her email is literally her job, and it was right around finals, so obviously there were lots of questions, but whatever. I only have to do this once with her. Finals weeks comes around, and I'm completely swamped with work. I ended up taking the unofficial extension this teacher offered us. The paper was due on the 11th, and she said that if we needed to, we could turn it in up to 11:59 on the 19th, but no extension could be given after that because the grades were due on the 21st, and she needed time to read and grade. By the 19th, I still hadn't really finished anything, so I didn't email out the paper, and I planned on just emailing it to her the next day. In the morning, she emailed me and said that according to our Canvas, that I hadn't turned in the project, and that if this was a mistake, please let her know and email her the paper. I was overwhelmed and just done with the semester, and at that point, so I just emailed her and said that I had emailed her the paper and that it must be lost in the email, and that I mentioned that it had been hard to get a hold of her. She emailed me back maybe an hour later, saying she couldn't find it and to please just email her the paper a second time so she could grade it. She seemed kind of stressed. I ended up having to rush and finish the paper so I could turn it in that evening, and just said sorry because I was at work. I was stressed out and annoyed, so I complained to a friend, a 19-year-old female in class, who called me a complete jerk for trying to trick our teacher and saying that I was probably really stressed and I just made her job harder. But it is literally her job to grade, and I'm sure having one paper extra to grade when she still had the day left to grade didn't kill her. My friend said that everyone else she knows was able to get their papers in just fine, and I was taking advantage of our teacher just because I didn't feel like working. She said to email the teacher and tell her what I did. Am I the jerk? I really don't think it was that big of a deal, but my friend really thinks I'm a jerk, and I guess my teacher seemed stressed. So I think I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this, and this is actually why I picked out this paper. All of you college folks out there, please be kind to your TAs. Please be kind to PhD students. They are basically working for nothing. Like, I know you say, oh, this is literally their job, but in all likelihood, she's making poverty level wages for the work that she's doing. It is certainly not a good time for her. Also, comps are a comprehensive exam. It's like finals, but for like your entire PhD career. So when someone says that they're taking comps, it means that they're basically taking a giant exam that covers all the classes that they took through their PhD program. That's comps. So be kind to your PhD students and PhD candidates. Things are really rough on them. Chances are, if she gave you a extension, she probably would have been kind enough and given you an extension then. But also, think about this. Say, I don't know how big your classes are, but if this is a relatively large gen ed, and usually gen eds have quite a number of folks in it, say for instance, you have 120 people in your class, which isn't unreasonable for an online class. That means that if 20 people email her, that's a minimum. If she can answer one email a minute, that's going to be 20 minutes right there. That's a lot of additional work because it's not 1 minute per email. It's more like 5 minutes per email. You know, you may think that this isn't a lot of extra work, but it is actually a lot of extra work. Gaslighting your teacher, who's already stressed and already having a hard time, is not a good approach. Don't lie. Just be honest. Be straightforward with your teachers. they'll be understanding. But chances are, because she emailed you and was like, hey, I didn't see your stuff in, can you just email it to me? She was probably being fine with giving you this small extension. Her being a PhD student, she was in your position not too long ago. And chances are she recognizes and understands how stressful your life is. So again, please, please, please just be kind to PhD students and PhD candidates. They're working, generally teaching a class or two, or grading, and in this case also grading. Then on top of that, they are probably working in a research laboratory. They also have to, write papers. There's all kinds of other things that they have to do. They have their own classes that they have to take. There's a lot more to being a PhD student than what you might realize. It's an extremely stressful environment, and it's an extremely stressful time in this person's life. Be kind. Be very, very kind. The university that you're attending is in large part responsible for this person and why they couldn't respond quickly. You have an overworked, underpaid person who's doing the same work as a, tenured professor and getting paid a fraction of the money. I was earning 10 times less than a professor, and I was doing the same work that they were doing. That's really unfair. That's just the reality of academia. And then on top of that, you have all kinds of professors taking advantage of PhD students' times, and it's just a mess. It really is not a good situation. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. If you want to see more videos like this and you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing, because why not? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.